Hey, welcome to the Treehouse Athenaeum, a place to discover the tools that empower you to embrace both the beauty and challenges of personal growth. There are so many branches leading to your roots. Come on, let's explore.
Welcome back to the Treehouse, everyone. Daniela here with Dave and Lisa, and today is really exciting because we're going to be talking like a little intro with tarot.
Yeah.
Intro with tarot. We're gonna do little experiments. I'm so
Yes.
excited.
We talk about this stuff all the time, so we thought let's do like a little like how we would use it. Let's talk about our process and how we go through it, how we connect, and what tools we use in essence, what cards and what those look like, and how each of our styles are so different from each other.
So different.
And
Yeah.
they're
So
great because
different.
they fit us, they suit us well as they should.
Yeah.
So hopefully you see a little bit of options and opportunity for your own personalization through this.
Yeah, get the ball rolling. Like I think let's start with picking any divination method. You should always go with what you're drawn to. Period. You're drawn to what you are for a reason because it's going to resonate differently for you than others because your language with spirit or your intuitive voice is going to be different than everyone else's, right? So, Danielle, how did you pick your first one? Your mom, I think, was your first like
Right.
introduction, right?
Yes. So technically my first deck, I mean, I would still consider it those animal cards I've talked about before. It's like um I don't know. We've asked this before. It's not really considered an oracle deck, but maybe it is. And ironically I didn't bring it up with me because that's not the deck I use most frequently. But um that I think I kind of like I don't want to use the word stole, but commandeered from my mom as I got older.
Thief.
Um, and
Lessons from
then
Captain Jack Sparrow.
yeah,
Borrowed for a limited
borrowed,
period.
yes. And it went on a fun like back and forth between our homes when I had my when after I moved out. So that original deck has been through both of our hands several times. My mom, anytime she realized that I had it, would take it back because she's like, these are mine. And I was like, no, I very much feel that they're mine. They're the first deck I ever used. But then she bought me she bought me my own. So I
Hint.
now, yep. I now have my own.
So that's actually a really interesting point too, because I am of the opinion too. You can use your cards. Some people get weird with their cards, like because energy, it's energy, right? That
Yes.
these tools are reading our energy or using our energy to tell us how they arrange and tell us the message. So I have a deck that is specific only for me, no one else. It's off limits and it's sacred, and it's got only my energy on it. So you got to look at this as building a relationship with each of these decks. Um, you get to know them over time. You get to understand the language a bit more. But don't be afraid to share the deck experience too. Like you should have fun with this. Is a communal thing, I think, often. So
Yeah. What is the difference between reading tarot and some of those TikTokers that you're like, I am pretty sure you're just saying what you think I want to hear?
Daniela.
I mean, as with everything, intention is everything. And unfortunately, the tool is only ever going to be the tool. The person wielding the tool is going to have a really heavy influence on the impact. And
Absolutely.
while I want to believe that everyone has a really great intention starting out with using tarot, especially for other people, this has a reputation for a reason. So,
Mhm.
um, you know, people just like any other service business, it's important to be discerning
Yeah.
when you are dealing with someone who is tending to your needs.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So just pay attention to the feelings you get and the vibes you get. And it doesn't mean that they're not the real deal. It doesn't mean that they're not a good
Mhm.
person. It just might mean that they're not for you.
Not all readers are the same. You got to keep that in mind. And like you
So
Mhm.
said,
true.
this is a discipline and a practice. And how many hours someone puts into it is going to determine how well and accurate they are. You know what I mean? Their language, their experience. I always say the lexicon with this deck. You build these signs and symbols and understandings as you go on, and your intuition will get stronger the more you work with something. And that's the same thing if you go to someone else to read your cards, how in tune they are. Another thing why we're going to talk a little about a ritual. You want to do a ritual before you start using any divination method or intuitive device, because your energy is what you're putting into it. So if you're coming in and you want to know what the love reading's going to say, if you want to know if he's into it, if you want him to be, the cards are going to reflect that energy of, yes, I want it to be that. But if you come in with a neutral, if you release the ego, if you just empty yourself, like meditation, empty your mind, you're going to get a clearer, more I think concise, a lot of times a clearer understanding and projection of what you're looking for to your question.
Right.
I think that's fair. And I am not as well versed with tarot as the two of you are. So I would love to know, like, is it possible to do a reading for the collective, which is often what you see on these reels that we were talking about earlier?
I was going
Dave?
to say, so the idea on TikTok, when you're putting it out into the ether, there's this trust component, there's a faith component where I am putting this message out and spirit is going to find the people that it's for. Spirit knows, the ether, the greater, the collective consciousness knows who's going to be tuning in and who needs it. So the messages that they put out, they can be very generic, but I promise you someone, it's going to resonate hardcore. Like it's going to hit bullseye and it's meant for them. You know what I mean? It can, doesn't mean you can't get anything out of it, but it means it's going to find the people that it's for. You know what so why tarot can seem very generic at times though too, because tarot versus oracle cards is a set tradition that has been built up over centuries. So you have the major arcana, which are these archetypal human experiences, and that's why they can sound familiar or generic, because they are life experiences we all go through on a day-to-day basis. You know what I mean? That we shift through. So oracle cards are going to be a little more individual. They're built differently. They not necessarily on the tarot. How would you explain that, Daniela? How would you talk about the difference between oracle cards versus tarot, like a set system?
Yeah, I mean, oracle cards, the system is really dependent on the artist and the author. I think the system behind like generically an oracle card is more of, I mean, to me it feels more like a channeling more so than tarot does. It's very, if you connect with that creator, if you connect with that art or the theme of the oracle deck, then it's speaking to you on a level that you are welcoming in. So my mom has like an angel oracle deck. It's got like all the archangels, like Michael and all of them. And that really speaks to her. That really speaks to her. I would, they're to each their own.
No, yeah, I
But
have a goddess deck, and people are like, but I love mythology in my background, but it resonates with me because I know the lore and the mythology, you know?
right.
And because it's
Right.
literally tattooed into your arm. No one
sorry.
can. Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. So I think there's something special about oracle decks in the sense that they're speaking to you in your language, like,
Yeah.
mythology. My mom, has a familiarity with the angels, and we grew up Catholic, so
The
that makes
church,
sense.
yeah.
Mhm.
I would say too, Oracle, like one of my favorite, I'm going to recommend if you're watching, it is, I don't know if you can see it. Come on. Whatever. I'll show it later. But it's the wisdom of the Oracle. But why, when we're saying like a specific system, they usually come with a book, and the book has different interpretations. So the way spirit would use this message and this synchronicity and randomization when you draw is going to be based on these very specific readings and the system that has been set up by that author. So
Right.
it's the same thing as tarot. It's just this person's system. And if it resonates with you, there's a reason you're drawn to it. And it's probably going to speak louder to you than other things, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like tarot, you're gonna find the same cards, just artistically rendered differently. Whereas an oracle deck is like you said, their own system.
Yeah. So
Yep.
Lisa, you use a different deck. What do you use? Because it's kind of off the beaten path for us.
Yeah. I use a deck called Lenormand, and I picked it up because I really like the artwork of the fox that was on the front of the box, the fox box. And I thought it was just like tarot, but like you said, I felt called to it, and I opened it, and I
Yeah.
was like, "What are these tiny cards? What's happening here?" And the reason that I like these so much is because they're very matter of fact. They're like me. Like this is the kind of deck
You
for
said
me. We're not
Virgo energy,
I
right?
s-
Is
yeah,
that what you
I,
said?
before we started recording, I was like, this is very Virgo forward.
Yeah.
And
But
I
that
am
says
the
something,
Virgo
right?
rising.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Lenormand's. So I think of tarot is like mm, the why of something. Like tarot can often be used to give advice, or be like, keep this in mind, or there are lots of different ways to use it, and you two are much more well versed in it than I am. Whereas Lenormand is how, and it can be kind of like good for finding like missing things even.
Yeah.
Like, where did I leave my phone? And then you pull a card that says like child and like ship, and you're like, oh man, my kid left it on this toy boat or whatever, you know. So it's
Very
just it's
practical approach. Yeah.
very practical, and it reads in strings of sentences as well, so it's
Hmm.
not as much interpretation, but this deck is the definition of the universe has big jokes, because that's
Yeah.
what happens every time I do a poem. Like, okay, haha, very funny. Thanks for the help.
I see you.
I was gonna say, like, over the years, I have like a handful of decks now. I feel like it's what happens when people, your friends, know that you're into this stuff. You get a lot of gifts.
Yep.
um, so I have like a few gifted decks, and then there are some decks. Like the first deck I ever purchased myself was an Oracle deck, and I felt super called to it. And it's funny, my mom ended up going back later and getting her own, so we have obviously a pattern, but um it I don't know, they have different voices, like you were talking about
Yeah.
with your deck of like, oh, the universe has big jokes. It's like that oracle deck, it was a Celtic oracle deck, and that had a very strong, like, there is no soft message here. You're gonna get it. We're gonna beat you over the head with it. Um, and I remember being like taken aback the first time I ever used it, but then I like grew fond of it. Like I felt like, okay, this is like a no BS,
Yeah. Which is your
thing.
style, right? Like that's how
Yeah,
you go through
yeah,
the world. Yeah.
right.
Where
So I was
I
like,
need a lot of affirmation at times and I need
yeah,
to be coddled for a minute. Like, you're really cool, but maybe look at this.
yeah, yeah.
Same,
Doing
same,
great.
same,
Look
same.
over here.
Yeah, yeah. And whereas I just want the message, like you can tell
Yeah.
me, just be mean if you have to be mean. I'm gonna filter out what is unnecessary, which is the other part, right? Like with the whole readers on social media and the whole idea of like a collective reading, there's always this message either in the comments or they might say it, take what resonates, leave the rest. And I
Hmm.
think that that part is true too. I think in the same vein, oh my gosh, sorry.
The demons are coming.
I know. In the same vein of like astrology and how you might resonate with someone who has the same moon sign as you, it's not completely improbable or impossible that someone else is going through a similar experience that you are right now. So,
Yeah, these are very human shared experiences. Yeah.
right. So like, if that would be a fun experiment to like see, because a lot of times it's like, oh, I have a message for this kind of person. I feel like those readings start out like, I don't, this group of people, if you're one of these people, then, and this might resonate with you. And it's like, maybe there's something to that. Maybe all those people are experiencing like the same transit at the same time, or maybe they're all having something affect their like 12th house or something. It's like,
Hmm.
I don't know. There is something about
No, exactly. I
collective
agree.
energies, even it might not be super individualized. Like Daniela, don't, I don't know, take 4 to work tomorrow. Like I'm never gonna get that message from
Lenormand.
social media, right? Maybe, maybe, but it might say something like if you're something about a journey, it might be a little bit more vague, and that might resonate with you.
So should we jump in?
Yeah,
Should
well,
we?
let's talk about rituals.
Yes.
How do you approach your cards? Like, let's each go. What's your ritual before you sit down and work?
I am really big on so my mom, I don't know that I've ever gotten into this yet here, but my mom is a medium. And so that's kind of how all of this started, and so she taught me to protect. So that's kind of like protection stuff is what we do, making sure that you have the right stuff, cleansing the area,
How
however
do
you
you do
want,
that?
with incense, with, yeah, smoke cleansing. I tend to double cleanse, which is a skincare term that I'm somehow repurposing here, but I double
Make it
cleanse my
work.
cards. Yeah. So I normally like hold them over fire, to
Smudge.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and then also smoke cleanse. So that's my preferred method. But then you also want to set an intention. I can do this now non-verbally, but like if you're starting out, you want to do it verbally where you're saying, only helpful energies are welcome, or only I'm only trying to reach this one particular, like I only want to talk to my spirit guides, I only want to talk to my ancestors, I only want to talk to my deceased aunt or whatever. You want to state that no negativity is
Yes.
welcome.
I love the phrasing
And
highest good of for the highest good for all. That's
yes.
something, and literally not just, even if it's a hard truth, what is going to be the best for everyone, for all
Mhm.
things, for the ripple effect that you can't see.
I also like, and the way that I can kind of incorporate that non-verbally now is in my head beforehand, I will close my eyes, to center yourself among other things, but I will imagine a flame that gets
Mm,
bigger and like lights the room essentially.
mm.
And I imagine it's pushing anything that shouldn't be in out.
Nice.
And so
Mm.
visualizing like that helps too, because to me, I really like the idea of like, oh God, this sounds so Game of Thrones, but purity through fire. I like the
No,
idea
no,
of like,
seriously. Fire is
you know,
cleansing. Absolutely.
yeah. So I don't know, I've always been drawn to like the fire element in that way for like protection and cleansing, but um having that visualization of like a little flame kind of enveloping a room, but in a not a scary way, like
Yeah,
you
no.
just imagine
Warm
the
light.
light. Yeah. The
Yeah.
light going to every single corner, and then I feel okay to start.
That's beautiful actually. Like for me, I do something similar where I sit down and I have this little cute phrase that I've developed with spirit where I just say, "Spirit, come be with me." And that's kind of my stepping into the mode, making myself available. So I get in my position and I'm like, take a breath, and then spirit, come be with me. And I probably should be a little more intentional at times, like like you said, when I want to connect with my grandpa, then I say something different, obviously. But um, my how I learned from my friend Judy, she was saying, imagine almost like the white light or a pink light, like a rose quartz, or that just a divine light, and it can be from within or from above, like a flowing river over you. But same premise, use that light to just enhance, expand around you like a protective egg. And
Mhm.
that really is what you're activating, is your own energy, your subtle bodies. You're focusing your energies in your chakra systems. It's what aligns with our intuition, allows us to
Yeah.
sage.
I
Yeah, sage for sure. Though I definitely do a sage or aqua Florida. Is that what it's called? The Florida
Mhm.
water. I do
Florida water.
that. Just get that. Just neutralize anything around you. There's something to be said. There's so much around us that we don't even realize that we're picking up. And like selenite, you can have even crystals that are very cleansing, neutral. So there's a lot of ways to go about
I'm gonna throw one more thing in there too,
it. Yeah.
just because this happened recently, and I'm sure we'll talk about it in another podcast a little bit more at length. But if you have kids and your kids start to pick up on some weird thing, or they may start to say some weird things, you can tell them this too. You can tell them to say,
Yeah.
"Go away, you're not
Do the
welcome."
ritual. Yeah.
hmm Um, if it's
Assert your energy.
scary, yeah. So you tell them they need to say it out loud because you know. But you tell them, "Go away, you're not welcome," and hearing them repeat it is cute, but it works. And you tell them, you make them feel confident that it works because it does.
Yeah, because your autonomy is what you're teaching them, right? And
hmm
that's the thing. We open ourselves, we also have the ability to close ourselves. And sometimes empaths, especially, go to the parks, like any tourist trap, you need to hold your energy and close it down because there's so much going on. Anyone has been overwhelmed can understand this, right? Before. How about you, Lisa?
I'm sitting here thinking how like perfectly suited each of these rituals and types of decks are to each of us, because you guys are like, open the container, call it in, and I'm like,
So in light.
let's go.
I love that.
Where are my keys?
Yeah, I mean, tapping your deck twice is a way to get rid of some of that energy, and then I take a few deep breaths, and that's it. Like, I'm sorry I'm not as flowery as you guys are.
No.
But you know, me and Lenormand, we're just here. We're here to get answers and get out.
Nice.
As long as I will just add, as long as you have a way to protect yourself, that's
Yes.
really the only thing that I'm like, if anyone starting out is going to go experiment, please do something to protect what you're calling forth, because I have seen some
Once
shit.
you open
Okay.
yourself, yeah. And I don't want to get like crazy because I'm a firm believer you vibrate at a certain level, baser energies, whatever that is, is not going to find you. But like you said, Lisa, I don't think you maybe explore to the levels like Daniela would be comfortable exploring, right? Like opening up to the ether and like, yeah, divining, whereas you're more practical and you want just direct information. Like, do you agree with that?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
most part. I mean, like, there are some
Time and place.
situations where I am definitely as intentional and as ritualistic as you and Daniela are describing, but most of that has to do with like meditation for me,
Yeah.
or like cleaning, like actual cleansing, and
Oh, got
then
ya.
cleansing like spiritually, whatever. But this is I wasn't why am I getting defensive? I wasn't
You're fine. No, I think like what I wanted to say, like with you, I am day to day. I'm more like you though. I draw a card. It doesn't have to be this big ritual. You have to get in a mindset, but sometimes what do I need for the day? Start there. It's that simple. You know what I mean? What's the
Yeah.
energy for the day?
It really is. And there's different levels of accessibility for each of
Big
us
time.
too. Because it's not like I do own tarot decks. I actually made up my own spread once that I love. Yeah. Do you want to
That I love
hear
too.
Yeah, go for it.
That
Yeah.
I've started doing.
So
I haven't
one
trademarked anything yet, so
well, gonna go file a patent right after this. So one of the ways that you can clear your deck is by ordering it. So like just putting all the cards in order, and then when you shuffle them, basically, like that's when you get a brand new start. So rather than just doing like boring, let me go through and get all of the major arcana in order, and then I'll do each of the suits, I decided to do it like a game of solitaire. So, what I do is at the start of every month, I will pull cards and I lay them out like the game solitaire. And I have
I
each
love
of
this.
the ones that I lay down face down. So I reveal them all at the same time. And then what I do is I take notes on a few different things. So, let's see. The first major arcana card that appears will be what is coming in for me this month. The last major arcana card that appears will be this is what I'm releasing this month. Then the first 5 cards that I flip over are going to be the story of the month. And then the first suit that I finish is my focus for the month. So like that attaches to the elements, because that's, those are connected to the tarot as well. So for example,
Mhm.
if I finish wands first, wands are associated with fire. I'm like, okay, this is telling me I need to get some stuff in action this month. Whereas some months I'll finish cups first, and cups correlate to emotion. So I'm like, okay, I need to be a little bit squishier this month, and being sure that I take the time and journal. And then speaking of journaling, will journal on that first 5 spread.
Yes.
So the last component to this is any major arcana cards that come up while I'm doing the solitaire. Um, those I put in a separate pile, and everything else isn't necessarily sorted into like black and red like your traditional solitaire would be to alternate. I just don't stack any of the same suits on top of each other. So it's fun.
No, I
And
love this.
sometimes
This is
it's
a great example of how you can personalize your own, because your intuition, spirit is going to know what your method. It may not work for others, but it could also resonate with others. I love
Yeah.
that. That's actually really fun and inventive, and it's
I love it.
personal. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, I've done it for 2 months. I didn't do it consecutive because I'm terrible at
Not
consistency,
terrible.
but thank you. Um taking time away for yourself is hard as a mom. So, anyway. I've done it for 2 months and it's been really cool to watch. Yeah. So and it's a good way if you're starting out to learn the language of your cards and get really
Yes.
familiar with every card because you see every card in doing that.
And I want to double
Yes.
back to what you were saying, Lisa, about journaling. At the end of the day, all of this is a mirror. These are acting as mirrors to help reflect where we're at internally, our subconscious, our desires, what we're looking for. I can't stress enough journaling with what you get. Sit with the cards, think about it for a few days, contemplate, because a lot of times these things percolate up over time. They have to marinate and digest. And like 3 days later, you'll be like, oh shit, like that was, oh, and then it's like,
Yeah.
you know what
Mhm.
I mean? And that's how you get your healing and your growth and just that deeper work. But yes, on journaling, you called it. I after all my spreads, almost always I do a little writing.
It's a good practice for mindfulness, if nothing else,
Yeah,
because there are different themes associated with the numbers and the suits. Like, there's so many different ways to interpret
elements.
it, and so, like, what's the worst that can happen? You accidentally do a little inner work, but you were wrong about which one you were supposed to do that time.
That's what we're trying to get secretly. This is what we're trying to get.
Mhm.
Oh my god,
Covert.
the code! It's cracked.
Gotcha. No. Let, so let's play. Let's play.
Yeah.
Yay! Play time, play time.
Um, what's our first question? I think we had 3 things we wanted to do that we're going to run
Yeah.
you guys, like let you observe our process. Um, yeah, I think we're going to start with Lisa's coming at the end of the month, and we're going to a Disney celebration, Daniela, and then I
Mhm.
have anniversary party. So she's coming into town for that, but then it's going to be a great opportunity for us to just start putting some ideas together and be together.
Yeah.
This is the first time I will have seen either of you since 2020, like in
Yeah.
person. I have not been
Sounds
back to
wild.
Florida since I moved, and you're gonna get
Yeah.
hugged so
I can't
good.
wait.
I can't wait.
It's long overdue. Next time we'll come out to California, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I love that.
Okay.
So, what do we want to ask, Lisa? Since it's about you, we'll let you
Yeah.
take the lead.
So, what I wanted to know is what I should keep in mind as I get prepared for my Florida trip. So, I would like to go last on pulling
Okay.
cards for this one. Dave, can you
Okay.
start us off?
Sure, yeah. So keeping in mind, so again, this is going to be nice for viewers because you're going to see outsiders reading or interpreting our hits. I'm curious to see if there's going to be a commonality or they're going to be all over. But if we focus on the general question, and then should sync up.
And while Dave shuffles, when I left Orlando, it was in the middle of the pandemic. I know that y'all have heard me talk about this before. Definitely less than ideal circumstances, and I felt like I was not necessarily leaving on the best terms, not because I was in conflict with anyone. It just, everything felt like it was in disarray. And that's been a big part of the reason why I haven't been back between now and then. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of guidance the cards have for me.
So for me, I traditionally do a past, present, future, or 1, 2, 3 because I like the story. You always start with your anchor card, which is where we come from. We are only where we are because of the past, our past actions, our experiences that's brought us here. That's how and then I like the future card, like not predictive, but cause and effect. Like if you continue, these are potential outcomes that could happen. So
Okay.
what are things? So say again, so what do you want to be aware of as you literally pack?
As I prepare, because there's going
As
to
you
be a lot of
prepare.
preparation that goes into it.
Definitely. So we got a spiritual union. I'm going the opposite way. This is myriad.
Okay.
2 of Cups. So I see reunion. Obviously, we're coming together. Our hearts are coming together. Cups is about emotion. This makes me happy. Like this is why we're doing this, right? This is why you're coming into town, because we want to commune, to be together. Next one. Ooh. This is for my friend Lisa. This is Patience 14. This is, I should say this too. This is based on the tarot, but it is almost like an oracle, a personal individual style that this artist had put together. But Patience is temperance, which is balance, being mindful, being balanced with your thoughts and your like you're a list girl, do that kind of stuff, but also not getting overwhelmed, stepping back, taking your breath, and just be thoughtful and thorough as you plan. But there's something here too, because I wonder, does travel like this overwhelm you? Or because I know you have a doggy, like what are you doing with your pup?
I have to board him, and it does give me anxiety to do that because he is very anxious.
Yeah.
He has, I mean, he was an owner surrender, and he gets separation anxiety, something fierce, and we've worked on it a lot over the last 9 years, but there's room for improvement in dog.
Okay. Well, yeah, and just maybe that's just having that patience with yourself, I think, through this process too, because I know when I have a lot on my plate, because you're working up to the point, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot. This again, being an oracle, has its own book, and if you are working with these decks, the book is here for you. And so sometimes I like to always go with what my first impressions are. You should always go with what, like, look at the images, look at the colors, what's it saying to you. But sometimes for me, I'm very mental, I'm very cerebral, and that's just spirit knows me. So sometimes I'll look through the book and see if something hits, right? Don't be afraid to use the book, because that can help you, give you different insights too. Something might hit and resonate, specifically in a sentence. The last one is the 6 of Cups. We got a lot of emotion. So I feel like this is what we were waiting for. We want to get together and just gush together. And like we started this all off, it's all about the happiness. 6 of Cups is all about nostalgia. And if anyone knows Lisa, she loves to reminisce about the past, where we've been from. And I like this future card because I feel, one, we're going to Disney. You haven't been to Disney in forever. I know once we get near Jungle Cruise, things are going to happen. But I mean, that makes perfect sense. I think we're just going to reminisce about all the good old times, us working together. And like, it's going to be a source of love and excitement for us. And that's what this is all about in my mind. It's going to be good for the soul. It's going to be refreshing for you,
Okay. Thank you. I only have one question.
Yeah.
Why were there only 4 cups in the 6 of Cups card?
This is their interpretation. This is like an oracle deck. So the 6, the green. So the way this one is, I wish it. There it goes. Ooh, the green border is emotion. They don't call it the cups. They call it emotion. I know it as, because of my history with tarot. 6 has a numerological meaning of healing, of putting that energy back into yourself, being aware, being present. And then again, I know tarot, this has memories. So what's it say? Memories of love. So again, that's the what they're saying, like their hint. They have an interpretation in their book specifically that is different, that may veer from what tarot is, but I'm going with what I know, my experience, my lexicon. So they're
Perfect.
actually little candles, right?
They're
Like a
little
candle.
tea lights. I
I
love
like the
tea
I like the
lights.
idea of an offering too. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're offering it's love.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks,
Come on, Daniela.
Dave.
All right.
Dave can tell that I feel put on the spot right now, even though I put
I love
myself
it.
on this very spot, and he's just you're a
Awkward
little
is
too
good for
joyful
us.
about this.
It's no, I am the instigator. That is my MO as a Gemini.
You are
Wing
the
8, maybe?
entertainer, and
It makes
I
us
am trying to
it's
achieve.
good to loosen up. Yeah. Flow with
This
it.
is why we're friends, because yes, so many reasons, but this is one of the main reasons why we are friends. Okay, Daniela, let me get my shit together. The question that I asked is, what should I keep in mind as I prepare for my trip to Orlando?
Okay. The card fell out, as usual with me.
Which we call a jumper, right?
Mhm.
Ooh.
And that is normal for me. I don't know if I'm just a bad
Me too.
shuffler or
No.
the house spirit talks to me, but I pulled the Ace of Coins, of Pentacles. That's the card.
Okay.
This is the, in case you're like, why does that look weird? It's because this is the Salvador Dali deck and he is very imaginative, which is why I love this deck.
Subconscious, yeah.
So the way that I read is a little bit different. I don't have as clean of a familiarity with the meanings of the cards that Dave, like you have this great recollection of what everything means. I don't read like that. I channel mostly. And then if I feel like there's a message that I need to refer to the book, because Dali, I mean, they all come with a book, but I'll go to Dali, his book, and read the section that says practical advice, because it'll give like the artistic, background of the card, and then it'll give like the meaning of the card, and then the practical advice, which I find useful. So, um, the Ace of Pentacles. It's interesting to me that there is a lot of feminine energy in this card. I don't know if you guys caught a
Does it look like
good
an
look.
ovum? It looks
Mhm.
like a singular egg, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I would connect differently with this deck.
What do you mean?
Oh, the imagery.
Oh, because you don't possess
Never
that
mind.
particular anatomy.
No,
Right, I'm with you.
Huh.
Good for you for being roundabout about it when you could have just said it out loud.
Mhm. Who, me?
Oh, Dave.
Dave.
Sorry. Okay.
Oh, you're so red. Are we in 5th grade? Is this growing and changing all over again? Sorry, Daniela.
No, it's okay. I need a minute to like listen anyway. So I get like this from time to time where I will pick up on messages and I'm so confused by them that it feels like I'm so off track, but I'm just going to ask you a series of questions. So, how close are you to the fires? Are they done? Is it gone?
I haven't looked in a few hours. The last I saw, it was like pretty darn close to being all the way contained, at least comparatively. And I am like 2.5 hours south of the fires. So
Okay.
I wasn't ever in any real danger unless
Okay.
the Santa Ana winds had done something wild.
There is like, I don't remember the story, like what's the burning bush story in the Bible? Like that's
Moses.
the imagery that keeps coming to me. What's the parable of that?
The parable is Moses goes, through the pilgrimage to meet God, and he reveals himself as a burning bush. And it's the cleansing aspect. We were talking about fire. That's a big part of it. But the bush obviously wasn't consumed, so it was a pure, a holy fire, like a divine fire. And fire is often associated with the wisdom of spirit, like you in like biblical like tongues of fire. You see in art they have the flame near them, but it's the inspiration. It's
Okay. That makes sense. That I don't know why they gave me a biblical message. I'm not super like, but thank you.
Because Dave was here to help.
Yeah.
I would have been
So
stoked.
yeah. um I see, like, this is telling me that you are not only bringing, like, you are the value coming. Like, I feel like instead of you being like the hand, you are the pentacle in this case. Like, you are bringing so much value when you come. Like, people are going to be really happy to see you, obviously us, but I think like you're going to be a really bright point in this month and whatever the hell is going to happen. So, and I don't mean like with the trip, but in, in the world, because that's what we're living in right now. um
Daniela, are you just saying this because I'm an Enneagram 3 who needs to bring value?
so what's funny is as I was like getting that message, I was like, this feels Enneagram 3 coded. I don't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it because
That's
it's
our
what I
love
got.
language.
Um
Talk
but I
Enneagram to
just
me, baby.
yeah. I think I think there's two sides to this though. I think you are gonna be like the star of the show, as like, when you come down, but also I think there is some kind of message here is to protect your resources also. Like, keep things close to, not close to the chest, but like keep in Orlando, we have a tendency to, I feel like especially service industry folks tend to like splurge and go out, and yeah. So I think like it's a good message of
Wise, yeah.
maybe if people are going to take care
Mindful.
of you, let them.
Ooh, I love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense. I was thinking time is a resource too, because
Yes.
whenever I go back to Colorado, which is where I grew up, I always end up like disappointing someone. Or like I just can't make enough time to see all the people that I would want to see. And since Florida is the only other place I've ever called home outside of the state I'm in now, um that'll inevitably happen. It'll
Yeah.
inevitably happen.
And that goes along with
It's
the temperance too of you find your balance. You don't owe anyone anything. Just what you can is enough.
mhm. I see it too as like this weird like creation of value. Like, there's kind of a creative creation element to it. Like, maybe that's us, maybe we
That's
will
exactly.
create, and that's, but like there's a lot of value and resource heavy messaging in this card. So,
We are coming
yay.
together, and of course, we're going to talk Treehouse. So that's
Yeah.
for sure what pinged for me.
So
Yeah.
like, you are the value, but also protect your resources.
Okay. And remember that bitches ain't shit. That's how I got myself through like every serving shift. I would just be like, bitches ain't shit. Just remember that, Lisa. Bitches ain't shit.
Hmm.
Okay. Is it my turn?
It is.
Okay. So, since I have repeated my question at least 30 times out loud right now, I'm certain that one of you has memorized it. Would you like to ask me my question while I sort my Lenormand? Pretty please.
Dave.
Daniela. Oh, okay. Lisa, what do you need to know while you're planning for your trip to Orlando? What do
Hey,
you
that
need to
was
keep
pretty
in mind?
good.
That was pretty good. I would not have come out that clean. Thank you.
So the way that Lenormand works is you can do it like a spread. Like there are a few different ways that you can do it. This one I think is going to be a sentence string, but there are techniques called like mirroring where you would chain together the first card and the second card, then the first card and the third, or sorry, then the second card and the third card, then the first and the third. It gets
Interesting.
complicated, right? So we're not going to do that. We're going to look at this as a string and kind of see what it is saying here. And I think we'll know when the sentence is complete.
So string means what's the story, right? There's a story
Mhm.
unfolding. Okay.
Right. So the first card that I have here is heart. So it's going to be
Tilt it a
some,
little so we can get the. There you go. Perfect.
yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So heart. Um, which I think goes along with a lot of what you were pulling about the cups earlier. Ooh. Ooh.
Wait, what?
There's a man.
I love that card. It's me, guys. It's me.
So, I mean, he could
I
get
have
it.
that top hat. No,
He could get it. Do you?
no, but
Oh, I wish you would. Okay.
I will.
So heart, man. Now there are 2 gendered cards within the deck. It doesn't say anything about about binary or non-binary, but if you are the person doing the poll, or like you're the subject of the poll, then so for me, if a woman showed up, I would be like, the woman would represent me specifically. Since I identify as a woman and not a man, this is about someone else. And the next card should give us a clue as to what's going on with this man. It'll be like an adjective. Path. Heart man path. Is there a place, do you think, like in Florida called Heart Man Path? Well, not out of the question. Okay, so heart, man, path. One of the things that I was thinking here was there could be an actual place in Florida called Hartman Path. But for the sake of this, I want to talk about chaining as well. So each of the Lenormand cards has a different meaning or keyword associated with it. So heart's like pretty obvious. That one is love. Man is a man. So every subsequent card has an effect on the first card. I feel like I'm explaining a board game. So the man is the adjective happening to the heart, and then the path happens to the man, and it just keeps going back like that. So it sounds like I might have to make some sort of decision about a man and romantic involvement there. And man and path is a decision. That's the key word for that one. I might like this also could be saying that I'm crossing paths with a man that I once loved, and that would be interesting.
Are there
Go
any
ahead.
men you're involved with right now? Because this is preparation. The question was about preparation before.
This person, yes, but this person does not live in Florida, so
Okay.
also very curious.
But your preparation isn't happening in Florida.
That's true.
Just curious, just a
Okay.
thought.
Okay. So I'm gonna pull one, maybe 2 more clarifier cards.
Don't.
Are
it
you
doesn't
fucking
hurt.
kidding me?
I'm so excited.
Please share with the class.
What?
It's a
Tilt
goddamn
it.
ring. It's a ring. We are not that committed yet, okay? I'm
It
going to
doesn't
have a conversation with him.
Does
after
the
we
ring
record
mean
this.
commitment?
Yes, that's what it
interesting.
means.
Okay.
So like
Okay.
if you were to get ring with letter, it would be saying that there's some sort of like important like contract coming for you to sign. So it looks like
I want to say so many things right now.
Me too. I'm just like, pick me.
okay, so in conclusion,
This
it
is your
looks like I
interpretation.
will be choosing some sort of commitment to a man in my preparation for Florida.
I think this is a big deal. Like, yeah, not like it has to be a big thing, but maybe defining boundaries.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm doing.
It's relatable.
It is. I'm gonna journal about this later, and then probably have some sort of conversation. So, that was mine, and we.
So that
Sorry.
happened. I love sweet. See, this is fun. Like it should be joyful.
Thanks for joining us today back in the Treehouse. I hope you enjoyed this conversation about tarot. I hope you got to learn something, and I hope that you enjoyed each of our way of reading. If you're anything like me, I'm sure you're on pins and needles waiting to hear about how Lisa's trip went. And next week, when you join us, you'll hear about my reading and Dave's reading. So we'll see you back next week.
Thanks for joining us in the Treehouse today. If you enjoyed your time here, can you do us one little favor and send this episode over to someone else who might need to hear it? We love ratings, reviews, and recommendations. We appreciate you so much. have a gorgeous day.